At the piano both Richard Carpenter and his music appear to be enduring. You will soon turn 75. Yes, indeed, I am. He has some amazing hardware at his house outside of Los Angeles. It's your third Grammy. Indeed. The Carpenter's reputation has been associated with timeless music and unparalleled brilliance for many years, but it has also been tainted by tragedy and circulating rumors. Karen Carpenter, whose angelic voice enchanted millions, and her brother Richard, the creative genius behind their renowned sound, are at the heart of this tale. Richard Carpenter, now 78, is at last prepared to confront the long-running stories about his sister that have baffled fans and captivated the media for years. The foundation of the Carpenters' extraordinary success was their connection with Karen Carpenter. Richard, the elder of the two, was the mastermind behind their elaborate musical arrangements, and their relationship went beyond simple familial ties to become a unique and profoundly creative collaboration. Carefully creating the luscious, refined sound that would become their signature, these arrangements were given life by Karen's distinctive and expressive voice, which turned them into songs that enthralled listeners everywhere. Richard relied on Karen's ability to effectively transmit emotions through her singing, while Karen relied on Richard's musical vision, trusting him to determine the artistic direction of their work. Their relationship was symbiotic. Richard has recognized her innate talent in interviews, explaining how her voice could transform even the most basic tunes into something unique, a talent that struck a deep chord with their admirers. Their relationship extended well beyond music. They shared the highs and lows of life in the spotlight and supported and relied on one another like siblings. However, even though it was crucial to their success, this close-knit dynamic increased the pressure they were under. Their common goals frequently made it difficult to distinguish between their personal and professional lives, leaving little time for dealing with personal issues on an individual basis. Although they collaborated well, the pressures of continuous traveling, recording, and sustaining a flawless public persona took its toll. Despite their evident closeness, some personal issues, like Karen's struggle with anorexia, stayed hidden for a large portion of their careers, exposing the intricacies of their bond and the demands of their mutual quest for perfection. Public conjecture over Karen Carpenter's health persisted throughout her career, especially in relation to her battle with anorexia nervosa. Eating disorders were not well recognized at the time and were frequently stigmatized or disregarded by the general public as well as the entertainment sector. Conversations about Karen's clearly deteriorating health became common, but the effort to uphold a polished public persona sometimes eclipsed these worries. Rumors concerning Karen's health as well as the demanding nature of the music business and how it might have affected her life were also circulating. Her contribution to the Carpenters' success was frequently linked to control and perfectionism. Both fans and critics hypothesized that her difficulties were made worse by the constant expectation to perform flawlessly, whether through vocals, public appearances, or upholding a particular image. Additionally, the media was crucial in spreading these rumors. In interviews and publications, Karen's appearance was frequently criticized with no consideration for her personal struggles. In addition to feeding public rumors, this atmosphere of unrelenting criticism increased the tremendous burden she was already under in her personal life. Only later did it become evident that what many people wrote off as industry rumors was actually a frightening representation of the more sinister realities Karen was dealing with behind the scenes. Her story continues to serve as a terrible illustration of how the demands of the entertainment industry and public scrutiny can have a significant negative influence on a person's well-being. Richard Carpenter avoided speaking out about the lingering allegations about his sister Karen for a long time. His silence was frequently taken to mean that he was reluctant to bring up unpleasant memories or address delicate subjects in the media. Richard's profound regard for Karen's privacy may have contributed to this. He recognized the difficulties she faced personally and was committed to protecting her legacy from needless criticism. More personally, Richard was profoundly impacted by the loss of his sister Karen, whose passing in 1983 had a profound effect on him as her brother as well as a musician. Her passing signaled the end of their collaborative relationship and permanently changed the trajectory of his life and work. Richard may have been reluctant to revisit those trying times in their lives due to his intense sadness and the responsibility of preserving their musical legacy. He also appeared to be concerned with maintaining the Carpenters' reputation as musicians whose music delighted millions of people. By staying out of the public rumors, he prevented tragedy from overshadowing their labor. Although occasionally questioned, his silence demonstrated a delicate balancing act between upholding their immortal contributions to music history and honoring Karen's memory. Richard Carpenter has finally addressed some of the long-running rumors about his sister Karen after decades of conjecture. He has stated in recent interviews that Karen's battle with anorexia nervosa was much more severe than most people realized at the time. In a recent interview with The Guardian, Richard reflected on her experience and noted that the condition was not well understood in the 1970s, saying that anorexia wasn't even considered at the time. They had no idea what it was. Richard also explained how Karen's deteriorating health was influenced by the demands of celebrity. He acknowledged that Karen was under a lot of pressure from the public and the industry, but he made it plain that her situation was complex and involved both internal and external elements. There was more to it than just the criticism or the music. Many of the things Richard discussed in the same interview came together. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Richard's acknowledgement is his open assessment of the dearth of knowledge and assistance at the time. He pointed out that there were essentially no resources available for someone like Karen, and that the instruments to treat eating disorders and mental health issues just weren't as prevalent as they are today. By being candid about these problems, fans now have a better knowledge of the difficulties Karen encountered behind the scenes thanks to Richard, who has also highlighted how the constraints of the entertainment business exacerbated her problems. This uncommon candor provides clarity and a sobering reminder of how much has changed and how much more needs to be done to improve, painting a more thorough and unpleasant picture of the price of their achievement. Richard Carpenter has discussed Karen's hardships and acknowledged how the demands of the music business worsened her precarious mental and physical health. Richard has discussed in recent interviews how the constant emphasis on appearance, especially for female artists, placed a great deal of strain. Karen's slender figure soon became a national obsession, with the media concentrating more on her attractiveness than her abilities. In addition, there was little time for personal care or recuperation due to the industry's relentless pace and expectations. Richard stated in the same interview with The Guardian that Karen frequently felt pressure to live up to unrealistic expectations, pointing out that there was constant pressure to appear a specific way in this industry, and Karen was painfully aware of that. Additionally, he bemoaned the 1970s lack of understanding on eating disorders and mental health, comparing it to a time when these topics were either disregarded or completely neglected. Richard voiced cautious hope regarding the increased openness of mental health discussions in the contemporary music industry. But he wasn't sure if the entertainment industry had really changed. Although the industry has changed, the strain remains. In a recent interview with Rolling Stone, he said, "It's just in different forms." One of the most important lessons Richard hopes people will take away from Karen's story is the significance of identifying the warning signs early and addressing them without stigma. He has emphasized the necessity of improved support networks within and beyond the sector to guarantee that nobody experiences the difficulties Karen did without the means to get assistance.